You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Fight Report with Malik Wright and Evan Theoharis. I'm your host, Malik Wright, aka Wright Report on Twitter. Listen, we got a jam-packed show, a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we jump into it, make sure you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or when we do upload content from the TWSN studios. Again, make sure you drop your questions down as the show goes on, because we'll be trying to get to them. Evan, first and foremost, like, 𝗦𝗢𝗙𝗦𝗢𝗏 Volkanovski retains his UFC gold last week. None of us are shocked. The fight, in large part, played out exactly how the first fight played out. Volk is timeless. That's what I took away from that last fight. Volk is timeless, and through. He will always try to find a way to power through and to win some of these fights. And so, Ev, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, on the show last week, I said that unless Diego Lopez finds the chin, I think it's probably a rinse and repeat of the first one, and it's kind of exactly what it was. Volk looked great. The only time I was concerned was when he got clipped at the end of I think the third round and got dropped down for a second. But he got right back up. I think that fight just proved that unless you're really able to find the chin like Ilia Topuria did, I don't know who really stands much of a chance in this division right now.
Yeah, I think that you said it perfectly. If your name is not Ilia Topuria, you're probably not beating Alexander Volkanovski at the featherweight title, featherweight division. Although I've got to push back a little bit. I do think Lerone Murphy stands a very good chance. I think Lerone Murphy has the output to match Volk, if not exceed Volk. I think he has the technicality to mix things up, to make life hectic on Volk with elbows, with his other extremities, his kicks. I think he has the volume necessary to beat Volk. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be stuck in the mud, staying in front of him. I think guys like Movsar might be a little bit gun shy, might be a little fearful of what might be coming back or not knowing what might be coming back. I feel like if Alexander Volkanovski dealt with the style of Islam Makhachev, I think he could deal with the style of Movsar Evloev. That's my thoughts. But again, that's something we're going to continue to talk about. Let's jump right into it. We got fight nights happening this weekend. We're going to go through the prelims, and then we're going to get to the main card. This will probably be a little bit of a quicker one because it's not pay-per-views, but it's still some good fights that you can make some good coin on. And hopefully you guys have been taking some of these fights that we've been offering up for you. So let's jump right into it, Ev. We've got Claudia Segula taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm going to start this one off. I don't like Priscilla. I don't like her. I think she is a bad fighter. I think her record is indicative of who she is. 13-7 says a lot about her. I think that you're getting a valuable price here on Claudia. And I think unless Priscilla is able to find a finish here, I just really feel like it's going to be a tough night out for her. I think that the keys to victory for Claudia are simple. Stay disciplined, jab, clinch, avoid extended pocket exchanges with Cachoeira, win the round, and don't chase a finish. Keys to victory for Priscilla, simple for me. She needs to force a brawl. She needs to force a chaotic fight. She needs to make sure she's not laying on her back for a long period of time, because she has a tendency to sort of accept that. But yeah, I love Segula money line. If you're going to bet anything on the Priscilla Cachoeira side, it's a KO at some point, which I don't know if you're going to find. But Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one. My pick is with Segula. So Cachoeira is really a brawler, and that's all she really can do well at this point in her career. Segula is also 10 years younger than Cachoeira. She's going to have the athleticism. She's going to have the speed advantage in this one. If she fights the right game plan, I don't see a world where she doesn't win this fight. Yeah. I'm just not super high on Claudia Segula's future. Therefore, I'm probably laying off this one. But if you're going to take a bet in this one, I would say Claudia Segula money line is a good bet at -145.
I'd agree with you. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think on this fight. Again, this is one of those fights where we feel as if Cachoeira is probably going to lose this fight. She's the older woman by 10 years. She's still in the UFC somehow, and I'm not exactly sure why, but she's here. So we've got to talk about her. We got to talk about this upcoming fight that she has, but we both lean on the Segula side. Segula by money line for me. I just think she outworks her. Yeah. She probably could find a late finish if Cashier to get super tired, but I wouldn't bet that. I would bet her to just win this fight straight up. The money line is value at -145. Let's keep the fight going. You got Muin Gafarov at the bantamweight division taking on Jacob Wilcox. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't impressed with Jacob in his debut against Patchy Mix, getting into a brawl with Patchy Mix, getting hurt on the feet against Patchy Mix, who's now out of the UFC. He's not proof that he's not UFC caliber. To me, that says less about Patchy, but more about you. And I think that Muin Gafarov is a guy that, for some reason, Vegas does not value. And I get it, right? He's had some losses in there, but to me, I feel like the competition he's lost to is respectable competition. Now, if Jacob is going to win this fight, I got pretty much his notes here for me. I don't know if he's a technical striker per se, but I do think that he is more of a guy that is willing to engage in these brawls. He has the ability to get this fight to the ground, right? That was the whole thing with Patchy Mix, was will he be able to cancel out Patchy Mix's ground game, because they both have very, very good ground games. Muin Gafarov, he's just extremely well-rounded, right? He can strike, he can grapple, he tends to win the rounds via clinch, and just holding it there pretty much. And just it's a style that's not necessarily always pleasing to the fans, but it's pleasing to the scorecards. The only thing that I kind of have a pushback on with this, man, Evan, is it seems like the UFC referees are putting a bigger focus on finishes now, and they're not allowing these wrestlers to kind of lay and pray and stall. And so maybe there's a way Muin gets takedowns, holds him there, fights really hard to get a takedown, and then he gets stood up after a while. Then he's forced to stand with Jacob, and Jacob clips him. That's a possibility. But I feel like Muin Gafarov is the overall better fighter here. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love Muin Gafarov's money line here at -140. When I watched Wicklak's fight, he's got a really good submission game, and he's really willing to go for submissions off his back. And he's just not that good of a defensive wrestler. He's totally fine with getting on his back and rolling around because he's super confident in his submission game. But I have enough faith in Gafarov's submission defense that he's just going to be able to dominate this fight on top. Gafarov also, when he gets the fight there, normally isn't the most lay and pray guy. He will try and throw some ground strikes. He will try and do some damage. And he's also not just stalling on the feet either. I think if either of them has more one-shot power, I favor Gafarov. And Wicklak's also doesn't have the best striking defense either. He's really willing to just throw in the pocket. He's been caught a couple times. You mentioned he'd been caught pretty bad by Patchy Mix in their fight. I just think Gafarov has proven to be a better all-around fighter. Unless he gets caught with something or does stall way too long, I don't see how he loses this fight. I'm going with Gafarov, and I really like his money line at -140.
Well, let me push back a little bit for what I was trying to go for when I said that. Because Jacob is willing to go for submissions off of his back, it might cause Muin Gafarov to implement a lay and pray style, because the fear, I would say, would have to be on the side of Jacob throwing up a submission, catching him or something. So maybe he'd rather choose position and a dominant one versus laying down his strikes, is my thought process.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. This is an interesting one. Like I said, I slightly lean towards Gafarov due to the grappling edge, but I do think Jacob could be a live dog in this fight. I do really believe he could be a live dog in this fight. So want to keep the fight going. We've got sorry, my apologies. The next fight on the card. Sorry. We've got Wang Kong taking on 𝗬𝗪𝗏. Evan, give me your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, I'm going with Wang Kong in this fight. I think her upside is just far beyond 𝗬𝗪𝗏's, and I don't think 𝗬𝗪𝗏 is a bad fighter. Wang Kong was one high kick away from being 9-0. She got upset really bad by Gabrielle Fernandez, caught a high kick, and then got caught in a submission. I think that submission loss makes some people think that her grappling defense is worse than it is. She was really rocked when she got submitted. She was really she was really TKO'd by a headlock, if I'm going to be honest. But I think Wang Kong is just she just has the higher upside here. I don't think 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥 has the elite wrestling ability to just like hold her down the whole fight. I think Wang Kong is going to do more damage on the feet.
Yeah.
She's got incredible technical kickboxing skills. I mean, this is a woman who went toe to toe with Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. I mean, she's got awesome power. We've seen her land some devastating strikes in and out of the UFC. I'm not sure she finds a knockout here, which is why I'm a little concerned on the betting side because her money line is so wide at -370. I'm not going to bet that straight. But I think she either wins this by knockout or she does enough damage that she wins a decision. But I don't know if I'm laying any money down on this one, but I am picking Wang Kong to win this fight.
Wang Kong is just too dominant. Let's just call it what it is. We can be honest and say this. She's better in the stand-up, better on the grappling. It's just not a fair fight. Just to be honest with you, she's better than 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥. She's sharp, technical, great timing. I'm always impressed with her amazing shot selection. It seems like she's almost playing with her food out there, where she knows what you're going to do. I do think 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥 is physical enough and durable enough to make it 3 rounds, but I don't think it's going to look pretty. To me, it's going to be a dominant 3 rounds on the side of Wang Kong. So while I appreciate the toughness of 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥, I just think it's going to be way too much. But if 𝗦𝗢𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗥 were to win, it would be through the pressure or clinch or chain takedowns and just making it gritty, slowing down the pace, and maybe just really working the side of Wang Kong in a way that we just didn't expect or see coming. But I think we both are aligned here. Wang Kong is going to win this fight going away. Probably the best bet, if you're going to bet the side, is Wang Kong via points. If you want to sprinkle a little bit on the submission or the KO, sure, you can do that. But I favor her to win this fight on the judges' scorecard pretty dominantly, 30-27. Let's move on up the card. We've got Bruna Brasil taking on Ketlen Souza. This is a weird one for me. I don't like Bruna Brasil, but I also don't like Ketlen Souza. Evan, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. I think the thing with Bruna Brasil is she has a clear game plan when she goes into a fight. She wants to exploit whatever her opponent's major weakness is, but if she can't find it right away, she gets drawn back into kind of like a sloppy brawl style fight. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. As much as I don't necessarily think Souza has a real future in this division as like a top contender, she doesn't have one strong glaring weakness to me. I think she just does everything decently well. So I don't think Brazil's going to be able to dominate this fight either on the striking or the grappling. So I think she's going to end up getting baited into a kind of a scrap, and that is a fight I favor Souza in. Souza has proven that she can get in those phone booth boxing exchanges and do some real damage. She does have power in her hands. I'm siding with Souza in this one. I don't really expect that either of them are going to do much in this division long term, but just in this matchup, I think Souza should be favored.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Listen, I think that probably the best bet for this is over 2.5 rounds / the fight goes to decision. Yeah. That's probably the best bet. But I probably think that this is going to be a heavy grappling match for the most part and kind of just stalling. And I do agree. I think Ketlen Souza is probably going to be the one to win this one because I don't like Bruna Brasil at all. But to me, this is something you just stay completely away from. Want to keep the fight going. We've got the next fight is in the welterweight division. Nicolay, I'm not going to pronounce his last name, taking on Nico Price. I'm weird about this one because Nico Price, to me, he used to always be live in these dog fights. We've seen Nico Price find a way to just gut through things, and then he's the more experienced guy, so he tends to rely on his veteran savviness, and he winds up walking away to victory. Nico Price, a couple of years ago at +230 here, is probably a guy that I'm saying, hey, you're taking a live shot on. But honestly, I have some concerns about Nico Price, man. I really do. I don't know if this is a situation in which Nico Price is going to be able to come through. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have concerns about both of these guys, to be honest. I mean, you look at, first off, you can look at their records here and see 13-7 and 16-9. You're not really looking at the highest level fight here. Nico Price has lost 4 of his last 5. he clearly has some durability issues.
Now, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, now, not. I mean, I had actually written that 4 years ago I would have said Niko Price would probably dominate this fight, just in make it his style, win a brawl. I think there's a chance he could still do that, and I don't think that's because I think Niko Price is all that good anymore. It's just I really don't think 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗏 is really a UFC level fighter. I mean, his only win in the UFC is a split decision win. Hasn't really shown me much that makes me excited about him going forward. I think it's just going to be a sloppy brawl, but I trust that 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗏 has more durability left, and that's why I'm going with him. But I haven't seen enough about either of them to really be like, yeah, I'm confident one way or another, or I'm putting money on one of these guys. But if I had to lean one way, I'd probably go with 𝗦𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗏.
Yeah, and just to go a little bit detail with people, why we're so, in a weird spot with Niko Price. Niko Price lives on being wild, being dangerous. This is some of my notes I have on him. He's obviously super offensive. He's unorthodox. He can attack from different angles, which can also change the fight in an instant. He used to be durable. He's willing to brawl. If it turns to a chaos fight, it favors the side of Niko Price. But he's also inconsistent. And consistent from a defensive standpoint. He has a lot of holes and can lose the minutes, especially on the judges' scorecard. So while it might be a dogfight, meaning he might land the more damaging shots, he wasn't the most active fighter. His face might be cut up. His face might be showing more wear and tear than his opponent. When it comes to Nikolai, as long as he stays responsible, I think he can win this fight. He stays responsible between his jab, look for moments, look for minutes for him. I have look for moments for Niko Price. That's probably his key to victory. And I have this funny note down, Evan. I think that Nikolai should be ready for weird moments.
Yeah.
Right? Up kicks, scrambles, or weird stuff that Niko Price likes to do when he's in there just to make his opponent think. Niko Price, his keys to victory are simple: turn it into chaos, look for moments, push the pace, and try to hope that Nikolai breaks down as the fight goes. I do like fight probably doesn't go to decision.
Yeah.
Because I think that Niko Price's style at this point of his career is kill or be killed. And I think that he goes in with the mentality that you're either going to finish me or I'm going to finish you really bad. It's one or the other. So, that's just where I stand. But I think the fight does not go to decision is definitely something we should be considering here. Let's move on up the card. We've got a welterweight battle between Alex Morono taking on 𝗦𝗫𝗓. Evan, give me your thoughts. Alex Morono is a huge underdog in this spot. Tell me why the betting lines are right, or tell me why the betting lines are wrong.
When I first saw the betting line, I was thinking, yeah, this is off. I don't know if he's going to win, but I don't think Morono should be a plus 370 underdog. But then I watched a little bit more of Alex Morono's recent tape, and I'm just not looking at the same Alex Morono from a few years ago. I think he's going to get put out, and I think he's going to get put out early in this one. I just looking at his defense recently, it's been really bad. You just mentioned Niko Price being kill or be killed. The problem with Alex Morono is he doesn't have like a ton of one-shot power, but he fights like he does. He fights like he's going to be able to put you out with a wild hook that's probably not going to do all that much damage.
Yeah.
He leaves himself open. I mean, his last fight, he got brutalized by Carlos Leal. I think Donchenko. Yeah, he got knocked out bad by Carlos Leal. I think Donchenko is just he's younger. He's got more left. He's got far better momentum right now. He has legitimate power. I think this is really just setting Morono up for another knockout. And my guess is if that's what happens, this is probably the last we see of Alex Morono in the UFC. But yeah, my bet is that Donchenko is going to find the chin. He probably finds it early, and this is going to be a really bad look for Alex Morono.
I've got an easy bet for you for this one, man. It's Donchenko to win this fight via KO, round 1, plus 180. Simple as that. If you think somehow he gets a sub out of nowhere, That's also like plus 135, but in round one, but I definitely think that it's going to be a strikers match, and I think it's going to be one that gets ended in the first round. If you do want to take the side of Alex Morono, you think Alex Morono could win this fight via KO in round one? Well, that's where the extreme value is at. We're talking about plus 3,000, right?
Wow.
Never say never, but
1,000.
I'm just saying because we've seen Alex Morono clip guys and be able to finish them, especially guys that are more green in their career. But Donchenko to win this fight is probably the best side of this. I just think that he's an explosive athlete with high finishing, high finishing rate, instant power. He can get you out of there extremely quick. Throws a lot in burst, and those are the guys that Alex Morono typically struggles with. Guys that have a lot of combos coming back at him, and when he's hurt, he doesn't really know what to do. Kind of just gets swarmed and overwhelmed. I will say that I definitely think the one reason why Donchenko could win this fight pretty quickly is I feel like Alex Morono tends to at points start very slow. It seems like he's trying to figure out his opponent, and Donchenko just kind of goes for it immediately from the opening bell. He tries to get you out of there. If Alex Morono was to win, right, it would be from him being a crafty veteran. He's not durable anymore, but he is experienced in chaotic fights. His gas tank is not the greatest. I have my keys to victory for Donchenko here is start fast but control. Don't sprint into clinch traps. Target the body. Pretty much sap Moreno's durability, meaning pick at him. Don't just go insanely crazy. If you hurt him bad, go for the finish because he tends to not recover when he does get hurt. So if you do hurt him, finish with discipline. Keys to victory for Alex Morono are simple. Survive the first storm because Donchenko will have a first storm. Make Donchenko fight a steady pace, clinch, dirty box, slow the tempo, drag him into deep waters, win with volume and experience late. Donchenko, to me, to win this in the first round, knockout, KO, plus 180. It's a layup. Anything after that, you might have to side with the side of Alex Moreno. So if you're talking about a live bet, here's the cool thing about this too, because you could say, Malik, well, what if I want to bet Alex Moreno earlier, but I just don't want to trust it. Well, if Alex Moreno makes it out of the first round with Donchenko, it's probably going to look really, really bad in terms of odds. Meaning Alex Moreno could probably be a plus 500 underdog because of how bad he looked. If you trust that he's going to come back and you trust that he's going to make it beyond the first round and be able to regroup and win this fight in the second or third, then Alex Moreno is 100% the side. But to me, the safer bet, the wiser bet is Donchenko to win this fight in the first round via KO plus 180. So that's what we are going with. We're going to move on up the card. But before we do, while we have you here, if you guys could do us a huge favor, right? If you like our MMA content, our betting content, and all the stuff that goes on in this channel, make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content. Also, subscribe to the TWSN Patreon. Evan and I give our best bets, our best picks. I have a guidebook that comes out each and every single fight night pay-per-view card. Again, we don't just cover the pay-per-views here. We also cover the fight card as a whole. Again, hope that you guys tail our picks. Hopefully you guys subscribe to the Patreon down below. We've gotten an influx of a lot of people. And the best thing for me is when people message me and they say, Malik, I won a lot of money because of your picks. So again, make sure you guys subscribe. Let's move on up to the main card. We got Dustin Jacoby taking on Julius Walker. Evan, this is a weird one. Dustin Jacoby is the seasoned guy here. Dustin Jacoby is the side that I'm leaning here. But you got to wonder how much Dustin Jacoby has in the tank still. You have to wonder about Dustin Jacoby's durability. This is a guy in Dustin Jacoby who's been in there with everyone. He's been there with Alex Pereira in different promotions. Give me your thoughts on this fight. Dustin Jacoby sits at the minus 200, but he's taking on Julius Walker, a young prospect, younger by 11 years. But he's green, man. He's green, but he has the reach advantage. He's a lot working for him. Evan, tell me your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah. I know you mentioned there's some questions here, and I understand that, but I think Dustin Jacoby was one of my favorite picks on this fight card.
Yeah.
I really like Dustin Jacoby in this one. When I first saw the fight, I didn't look at the odds, but I thought he'd probably be like a minus 350, but seeing him right around minus 200, that just feels really low to me. I thought Dustin Jacoby might have been fading after his 2-fight loss streak to Menafield and Reyes, but since then he's really turned it around. He's shown more power in his hands recently. I mean, his fight his fight with Bruno Lopez, I mean, was brutal. He got him out of there quick, and he got him out of there bad. He looked really sharp in that one too. I also think, I mean, you mentioned it. He fought with Pereira in Glory. I think it was Glory Kickboxing.
Yep.
Dustin Jacoby has one of the best technical kickboxing skill sets in this division. His losses outside of Menafield are to pretty accomplished fighters. I think he has a distinct kickboxing advantage in this one. The thing with Walker is, you know, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He had a weird brawl kind of fight with Menafield, and then he won a pretty one-sided decision against Rafael Cerqueira, but I don't know how impressed I was with that fight with Rafael Cerqueira. I mean, Cerqueira's out of the UFC now. Cerqueira didn't win anything in the UFC. And there were times where that fight was ugly, and they both looked gassed by the end of it. I think Jacoby's the far more technically skilled fighter here. It's light heavyweight, and neither of them are championship caliber, so there's a way that, you know, Walker finds a way to win this. But everything I've seen, I can't see a world where Walker or where Jacoby gets beat on the feet here. And if Walker just tries to go for takedowns, I think Jacoby's been in there with enough guys that he'll be able to stop that. I think Walker's going to go for a few takedowns. They're going to get stuffed, and then Jacoby's going to hunt him down on the feet, and I think he finishes him in the second round by knockout.
Ooh, okay. You got Dustin Jacoby finish. So I'm going a little bit deeper. Again, got some strengths, got some tendencies. So here are my Dustin Jacoby strengths and tendencies I wrote down in my notes. He's a veteran kickboxer, obviously. Strong low kicks, straight punches. That is Dustin Jacoby's game, right? Good at managing range, winning minutes of distance, can be slowed by pressure, and wrestling heavy opponents. Julius Walker's not an extremely heavy wrestler opponent where he's going to, you know, go for multiple takedowns and hold you there and all that kind of stuff like that, but he will mix it up in his game. But Julius Walker's tendencies, right, and his things that favor him is he's a younger athlete with extreme power, upside, willing to take risks. If he closes distance, he can make it messy and physical. The one knock, he's less proven versus high-level kickboxing, and he might have some defensive gaps. Keys to victory for Dustin Jacoby, where it lands for me: stay long, calf kicks, jabs, prevent Walker from blitzing. Don't back to the fence. Clinch on the break on your terms. Make Walker pay for entries with straight counters. So pretty much the Dustin Jacoby handbook, guidebook, right? That's literally his game. Hit, don't be hit. Pretty much pick and pocket. And the moment that your opponent makes a grave mistake, make sure you land a big shot on them, make them pay. Keys victory for Julius Walker: simple, crash the pocket, force clinches, make it dirty for Dustin Jacoby. If it's clean, Dustin Jacoby's going to win this fight going away. Don't play Jacoby's kicking game range. Mix and takedowns. Look to make Jacoby hesitant to kick. Win the big moments. Damage and burst, steal rounds. Because Dustin Jacoby has had a tendency to lose on the judges' scorecard. It's just something that has hurt him throughout his career. The betting lean for me is Jacoby by decision. I think he can keep it at range, but I do believe Walker is a live dog if Dustin Jacoby's cardio starts to fade, which I do have serious questions about that. Will it rear its ugly head? We will see. Time will tell. But I don't know if I see a finish coming from the Dustin Jacoby side. So I think me and Evan are misaligned a little bit there. But I do think that this could be a live dog spot if Dustin Jacoby is not able to implement his range early in the fight. I want to move on up the card. Gene Matsumoto is taking on Farid Basharat. You know, it's funny, early in the fight, his brother is fighting. Basharat's brother's fighting. But the reason why I didn't touch on it too much was because to me, it's a late replacement. It's a guy that I've honestly just expect Farid Basharat to just run through. So we didn't really touch on it too much. He's a -700 for a reason. And this guy's coming on late notice. So I think Basharat winds up winning that fight. But again, we're on his brother. Gene Matsumoto taking on Farid Basharat. Farid is a -320 favorite in this fight. I lean on the side of Farid Basharat. Why? Because I think that he is a technical boxer. I think he's good at distance management. I think he's solid with wrestling. He's great with his clinch control. He can bank rounds cleanly. He's composed. All right. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes while in there. While Gene Matsumoto, here's his strengths and tendencies to me. He's creative with his striking. He has good timing. He's dangerous, opportunistic with grappling, right? But he's comfortable in scrambles, can threaten off his back. To me, that's if you're comfortable threatening off your back, taking on a Basharat, to me, that's something that doesn't spell victory for you, because you might be too comfortable with your skill set, and you think that you can implement that against a Basharat because you implement it against everybody. And to me, that's just not a good key to victory. Basharat, these guys are a little bit different when they're in there. Keys to victory for Basharat for me are simple: win minutes, jab, keep Matsumoto from building combinations, mixing takedowns, break rhythm, control positions, avoid reckless scrambles, stay chest to chest on top, so that way Matsumoto, his energy gets zapped. The keys to victory for Gene Matsumoto are simple: force chaos, kick heavy, scramble hard on takedown attempts, create clinch, breaks into counters, don't get stuck on the fence. That's what a lot of Basharat opponents do. They get stuck kind of on the fence with him, chest to chest, again, like we talked about, and push the pace late. Make Farid work every single minute, because while they're great, they do tend to, I talk about him and his brother like they aren't two separate people, but they just fight very similar. But Farid tends to slow down later as the fight goes on. The output isn't as heavy. So maybe Matsumoto is going to be able to go in there and pretty much steal around at the end, because maybe he's more active in the judges' scorecard. I lean Farid on the money line, although I think that minus 320 is a little bit too much. I do think you probably get him at plus money via decision, or even maybe submission. I haven't necessarily looked at the prop in terms of what the decision line is, but to me, I think the fight definitely goes to decision. And I'm extremely looking forward to this fight, man. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite fights on the card outside of the last two. I was really high on Jean Matsumoto coming into the UFC. I still think he's got the skill set to be a contender in this division. He is only 26 years old. His only loss is a split decision loss to Rob Font. I took more positives away from his loss to Rob Font than negatives. But I actually took more negatives away from his last fight against Miles Johns than positives, even though he came out on top in there. I thought he was going to dominate Miles Johns. He won, but he won a split decision. And something I really noticed about him in that fight was he truly is a builder. He sometimes starts a little slow. It takes him a while to get all his weapons moving. And I think if he waits too long here, I think that spells kind of a disaster against Basharat, because Basharat's consistent in everything he does. He's going to look for jabs and leg kicks and any sort of straight strikes that'll set up his grappling. He's a very good wrestler. Matsumoto, also, you look at the guys he's fought in the UFC, none of them are great wrestlers. I'd say Rob Font is probably the best of the bunch, but none of them are like top shelf wrestlers. I think Farid is definitely the best one he's fought so far. Matsumoto does trust his submission game, especially off his back, and you mentioned that's going to feed right into Basharat's game plan. I do agree with that. I think Matsumoto could be a live dog if his takedown defense proves to be better than I think it is, just because I think he has more power on the feet, and that could steal moments in the judges' eyes. But at this point, I mean, Basharat has looked like an incredibly dominant fighter through his UFC run here. He really hasn't faced much pushback yet. I think this will be his toughest fight, but it's one that I think he can definitely win. I do think the money line is a little off at over a 3-1, so I wouldn't take that. But as you mentioned, Basharat by points, I like that. I put that down. That's a little under plus money at minus 130. But if you're going to bet Basharat, I'd bet him to win by points, just because Matsumoto, he hasn't been finished yet. I think he's got good enough submission defense to not get caught by Basharat's submissions, and he also isn't going to get knocked out by Basharat either. So I'm taking Basharat to win. I'm taking him to win by points, but it wouldn't shock me to see Matsumoto level up and pull off an upset here, but the lean is with Basharat.
And if you are taking Basharat by points, it's not plus money. It's minus 135, so close enough. It's a good spot, right? It's a good spot for you. I think that's probably the safer bet. I do think Matsumoto will not be deterred. I think he's going to try to make Basharat fight, and it's going to be an interesting one. Again, while we got you guys here, do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Moving on up the card, we're getting closer and closer to the main event. We're getting closer and closer to the main event, but we've got Michal Oleksiejczuk taking on Marc-André Barriault. Oh, man. I'm going to make this one very, very simple for the sake of time. These are both dudes that are aggressive. These are both dudes that, I don't want to say Oleksiejczuk likes to brawl, but he he doesn't run away from a brawl per se. He's more technical in a brawl is what I found when it comes to his game. He's more measured. He's more, again, he's durable. He's durable enough to trade, but sometimes takes a lot of damage in return. Marc-André Barriault, he's high motor brawler, willing to exchange, push the pace, right? We all know this about him, tough, physical. He could turn it into a dogfight. Again, I just don't know if Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to allow him to turn it into a dogfight because he's the cleaner striker here. He does have a lot of defensive lapses. This is Marc-André Barriault I'm talking about. And he's hittable in the pocket. The keys to victory for Michal Oleksiejczuk are simple for me. Own the first exchange, damage Barriault early before the pace of the fight continues to build. Angle off after combinations. Don't stay in the phone booth for too long. Mix in the clinch, breaks, and body work to sap Barriault's output. This is something that we've seen a lot of fighters do when it comes to Marc-André Barriault for a while now. Keys to victory for Marc-André are simple. Survive the first 5 minutes. Make it deeper. Make it a messy fight. Crowd Oleksiejczuk and force prolonged exchanges where durability matters. Attack the body. Attack the legs. Slow the Polish power burst, right? The betting lean for me is complete violence. It's going to be a finish on some side here. I like the fight to not go the distance, and I like the Michal Oleksiejczuk side. I think Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to finish Marc-André Barriault here. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. When I looked at Barriault's last 5, and you can look, he's only won 1 of his last 5, and it's against Bruno Silva, who's I don't believe on the UFC roster anymore. Oleksiejczuk, I believe, has started training more with the Fighting Nerds now, which is something to touch on there. And ever since he has jumped ship, he's looked a little better. His last 2 wins were violent knockouts, but they were against 𝗕𝗏𝗏 Dumas and Gerald Meerschaert, so take what you will from that. But I just don't know if Barriault's going to be able to hang in there with Oleksiejczuk if this gets violent, which I assume it probably will. I think this is going to be a very fan-pleasing fight. I think this is going to be one that's going to be wild for as long as it lasts. But at this point, from what I've seen from the 2 of them, I do think Oleksiejczuk just has more left to give. He's faster. He's got the better technical strikes. And I worry about Barriault's chin, especially after getting knocked out by Dustin Jacoby.
Yeah.
I think Oleksiejczuk's going to finish this one. I had him by first round knockout. If you want to take a safer side, him to win by knockout is minus money, but it's minus 170. So I think that's the best odds for the sides of Oleksiejczuk. But yeah, I'm going with him to win this in what's probably a brawl.
Yeah, I think he wins this fight by knockout in the first or second round. If you want him to win the fight by knockout in the first round, it's like plus 120. Him by knockout, I think it shoots all the way up to plus 500 in the second round. So Michal Oleksiejczuk is the side that we're siding with in this fight. Let us know down in the comment section when you guys do view this video, if you have already, who you guys are going with, what's the side that you're going with, and why. Hey, we're going to move up the card. We got Jailton Almeida taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Listen, I wrestled with this, Evan. Let me tell you why. Because Rizvan has the ability to put Jailton Almeida's lights out. His power, his ability to also stuff a takedown. I know he struggled against Curtis Blades, but Jailton Almeida isn't really the same type of grappler / wrestler, right? He's a guy that he almost offers no threat on the feet. So you know what he's doing, man. I get why the odds makers are picking Jailton Almeida. He's faced a better competition so far. I just think that the odds makers and people are having less of a respect for the style of Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida is a guy that people were calling for him to be cut just a couple of months ago. Man, I think Rizvan Kuniev gets the upset here. I know that sounds crazy. I know Jailton Almeida is known for his ability to get the fight to the ground, backpack you, get a choke in. But man, I don't know. I think Rizvan can knock this guy out in the first round. I really think he can. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really hoping you weren't going to say that because I'm right on board with you here. I'm siding with Kuniev in this fight.
Yeah.
After watching the Jailton Almeida versus Derek Lewis fight a few years back, when I watched that, I was like, at some point, this just isn't going to work anymore. The takedown. I mean, if he had Derek Lewis down for like 20 minutes of a 25-minute fight, and Derek Lewis walked out of there with like no marks on him, he didn't finish him, and then he lost to Curtis Blades, got TKO'd on a takedown attempt. And then he seemed like he had turned a corner, finished his next two guys. And then he went right back to his just takedown or nothing style against Volkov. It speaks volumes when you can take a guy down and control him for 11 minutes out of a 15-minute fight and you still lose. He still lost that fight to Volkov because he landed 9 significant strikes in the entire fight. He did absolutely nothing. And I know you mentioned that Kuniev may have struggled a little bit with Blades, but he got taken down twice, but he only got taken down twice on 15 different attempts from Curtis Blades. He's not going to be able to, and Kuniev's a big guy. Almeida's not going to be able to just throw him around. Like, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a struggle for him to get Kuniev down. And Kuniev is, he's going to let his hands go. And he's done it before. He's got legit power. I think he's going to hurt Almeida. I think this is going to look, I think Almeida's going to get him down because he gets everybody down. I think he might control this fight for about half the time, but I don't think he's going to do any legitimate damage. I think all the damage is going to be done by Kuniev. I think Kuniev could knock him out at any point in the fight. I think my read on it was that it probably does hit the scorecards, but Kuniev does all the damage and therefore wins a decision that way. But either way, just because he's plus money, I'll take Kuniev's money line at plus 120. But yeah, I'm siding with you. I like the upset here. I think Rizvan
he gets
Kuniev,
the knockout, man. I think he gets the knockout. I think he get finished as Jailton, man. You know, people forget, you know, Kuniev, even though he struggled a little bit with Curtis Blades, it was a split decision. And I personally thought Kuniev won that fight. I thought Kuniev won that fight. And so, yeah, man, I think Jailton Almeida's style is starting to wane a lot of thin in the eyes of the judges, but also we didn't talk about it. The referees are now putting the big emphasis on finishes and exciting fights. To me, this isn't a style that really favors Jailton Almeida. And if you believe me here and you side with what Evan and I are saying, and you think Kuniev can get the finish here, him to win this fight by knockout is plus 300. Something also to note, Kuniev has never been submitted in his career. So I like this side. I like this side. I like Kuniev. And yeah, we'll see exactly what takes place. Let's move on up the card, man. We've got the co-main event. We've got Kyoji Horiguchi taking on, yes, yeah, I pronounced the name right. Kyoji Horiguchi taking on Amir Albazi. Let me just say right now, this is a nightmare fight for Amir. This is a nightmare fight for Amir. This is a guy that's just good everywhere. He was good his first stint with the UFC. He's been good his second stint so far with the UFC. This is a dude that can stuff your takedowns. He's going to be active on the feet. He can hurt you on the feet. He can get his own submissions going. He's just probably an extremely well-rounded fighter. He's 35-5 for a reason. He's 35 years old, and the time is now. This is a guy that absolutely made mincemeat of 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏. To me, I like Amir Albazi, and any other time I usually side with Amir Albazi, but man, I'm having a hard time figuring out where Amir Albazi is going to win this fight with a style that's pleasing to the judges, whether it be a decision or even finding a finish here. What are your thoughts? Unless Amir Albazi just completely has leveled up and he just catches Kyoji. Man, I think I'm really siding with the side of Kyoji Horiguchi here. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is going to be dominance all the way from Kyoji Horiguchi. I'll never forgive the UFC for letting that guy walk out the door. I mean, he was 7-1 in his first run with the UFC. His only loss was to Demetrius Johnson in a title fight. This guy's legit. He's probably one of the best flyweights on the roster. I honestly think he might get to the top of the ladder here. I think he's probably going to end up in another title shot. I mean, the way he walked right through 𝗙𝗓𝗏𝗏, I mean, he just dominated that fight. I mean, he dominated that fight from start to finish. Albazi looked really bad against Brandon Moreno. I mean, really, really bad. He got beat up. No. Amir Albazi he lost. Yeah, he lost. He got beat up on the feet really bad by Brandon Moreno. I don't think that he's just going to be able to grapple Horiguchi. Horiguchi is good off his back and good. I mean, he's just a good grappler overall. I think he knows what's coming from Albazi. I just think with Albazi also his his health scares are a concern for me. He's had, I think it was a pretty major neck injury, and then he also had heart surgery. I mean, it gets to a point where some of these health scares become a real issue in terms of how you're going to feel on fight day, especially with a weight cut, a big weight cut and a heart surgery. Like, it just feels like there's a lot going against Albazi in terms of his own health. Horiguchi had looked great in his last fight. I don't know how Amir Albazi wins this fight either. If he can't submit you or ground and pound you, he just tries to kind of lay and pray. And I don't think that's really what's going to happen here either. Horiguchi's the better striker in my book. I think he can definitely hold his own on the ground. I think he's going to do a lot of damage to Amir Albazi. And I kind of like him to find the finish here. I think he can find a late finish after doing some damage, whether that's a TKO, ground and pound TKO. I think there's a way this is the first guy that submits Amir Albazi. But either way, I definitely think Kyoji Horiguchi wins this fight. And I would bet him to win this fight by finish if you're looking for something to bet here.
Man, I like the way you think. I'm gonna go a step further too, man. Well, first of all, I want to apologize. When I said he lost the fight, I was thinking about the Kai Kara-France fight.
Yeah.
Because he looked bad in that fight too, but he was gifted.
And he won.
He was gifted a decision. I completely forgot about the Brandon Moreno fight where Brandon is absolutely just made him look like a rookie in there. But he's looked bad his last two fights. Remember, there's been a gap since we've seen Amir Albazi. I don't think he fought all of 2025.
No.
Last time we saw this guy in here was in 2024. He's pretty much averaging a fight a year at this point.
Yeah.
Right. We saw him in there against Kai Kara-France, and he was gifted a decision victory. I was happy because I had him winning that fight. Like that was my pre-fight bet. But if I'm being honest with you, he lost that fight. He just somehow won on the scorecards. He looked bad against Brandon Moreno. And I think this is a spot on which it's one of those things where, okay, you look bad, but you escape with a victory. You look bad and then you lose on the scorecards. We all know what the third part of that is coming, right? A finish is coming at some point. So I agree with you. I like the side of Kyoji Horiguchi to find the finish on Amir Albazi because I just think that the lapses of when he's in the octagon are going to rear its ugly head at some point. If you do believe Kyoji Horiguchi is going to find a finish by KO or submission, it's plus 260. We don't really have a lean necessarily on what side to pick there because he's so well-rounded. He can finish the fight by submission. He can finish the fight by KO. And I think Kyoji Horiguchi, you want to talk about a style that would get him in the championship challenger conversations, is finishing Amir Albazi here. And I think that he could do it. I think he could really do that here in this spot, especially when you look at, the flyweight division right now needs they need a breath of fresh air, even though the dude's 35 years old. It's crazy saying that. They need a breath of fresh air. They need somebody that's going to go out there and be able to challenge these new young guys in 𝗙𝗢𝗙𝗪 and even the champ. Why am I drawing a blank on the champ? Josh Van, man. See, I don't even rate that guy, but yeah, man. To me, I just think that Kyoji Horiguchi is a guy that I believe can really cement his name in there for challenger for the championship, and we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
If you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content. Let's move on up to our final fight of the card. We've got Vinicius Oliveira taking on Mario Bautista. I'm going to say this really quickly, Evan. Mario Bautista, to me, is more technically well-rounded. I think that he has the style that's a little bit more appealing to the judges' scorecards. I think the finishing upside is on Oliveira here. However, what concerns me about Oliveira is he has these low output fights where he's just in there playing with his opponent sometimes. And I feel like if you go into a fight with Mario Bautista with that game plan, I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. I don't know, man. I feel like Vinicius Oliveira, if he just commits to damaging, he almost fights very similar to John Silva.
Yeah.
They're showmen in there. They're showmen in there. They like to do a lot of theatrics, but how much of it is actually damage? I know you hurt your opponents when you're in there with them, but how much is it? Hey, I'm gaining respect of my opponent. I'm doing X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, I like this fight a lot for for both sides. You know, you look at Mario Bautista's record. After beating Patchy Mix, he got a fight with 𝗦𝗢𝗓𝗏 Nurmagomedov, which he was dominated in, but that is 𝗦𝗓𝗏 Nurmagomedov. He's one of the best bantamweights on the planet. And I think Oliveira might be one of the most difficult fighters for me to read so far in his UFC career in this bantamweight division, just because, you know, he's undefeated in the UFC, and he's beaten a lot of like solid names. But the solid names, he hasn't been able to find that finish. His last 3 fights, he did win by a decision against Ricky Simon, Saeed Nurmagomedov, and Kyler Phillips. He wants to do that John Silva style where he throws like a 3-punch combo that's super wild, and then he'll do like a little dance afterwards to make it seem like he landed a big shot. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But my concern is that Mario Bautista might just be a little too good everywhere for that to work. Unless Oliveira is just too overwhelming of a style for him, then maybe that's what gets it done. But I'm struggling to find, outside of a knockout, that he lands like one clean shot that puts him down, where that happens. Bautista has seemed pretty durable so far in his UFC career. So I'm not like, I don't have strong concerns about Bautista's durability. When Oliveira initiates exchanges, he does it kind of wild. He has a tendency to throw hooks from his hip. He leaves his head open and just picks his hand up from his knees and then just throws them. And he'll run in, kind of abandons his footwork sometimes. And
Yeah.
with Bautista's wrestling ability, I don't know if that's really going to work. I think there's just going to be a lot of spots here where Oliveira gets frustrated by Bautista's ability to evade damage, and he'll start throwing wild strikes. Oliveira will land a jab or something and then shoot a takedown and control for a couple minutes, do some damage from the top. I just think that Bautista is not going to get hurt very often in this fight. I don't think he's going to get picked apart by Oliveira. I think what Oliveira should do is he should implement a lot of leg kicks, throw those leg kicks, and keep Bautista from shooting. And that's, you can get him more stationary, and that's when you land some powerful punches that could even end the fight. But my lean is with Mario Bautista here. I just think I've seen more out of him that makes me believe he's a legitimate top 10 talent in the division. But if there's going to be a finish, I think it's on the side of Oliveira, but my pick is with Mario Bautista to win this fight.
All right, let's go for their strengths again. Mario Bautista has high output, pressure boxing, layered in trenches into, his clinch, his strikes, his takedowns, strong back taking sequences. Again, he's a guy that can take your back, can, control the minutes. But Vinicius Oliveira, his strengths, he's an explosive athletic striker, dynamic kicks, quick stance switches. He could just make you think. He can overwhelm you in there. Solid defensive reactions and clinch, dangerous counters when opponents are overextended. Keys to victory for Mario: make it a clinch cage fight early, chain takedown attempt, mat returns, win the jab, entry battle, keep Oliveira from planting for counters. In later rounds, bank minutes with top control, back threats instead of trading. Keys to victory for Vinicius Oliveira: punish level change. And so anytime that Mario Bautista tries to level change and go for a takedown, punish level change entries with knees, uppercuts, keep Bautista at the end of kicks. See off the fence, circle out immediately when pressured, reset open space. If taken down, build up quickly. Don't accept back exposure and scrambles. I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira to win this fight. I think there's something I can't get out of my head. I remember back in 2021, Mario Bautista was knocked out by Trevin Jones. So I have seen Mario Bautista finished in there. I also remember back in 2019, I think it was, Mario Bautista was submitted by Corey Sandhagen. So I have seen Mario Bautista submitted in there. Vinicius is a finisher through and through. He's going to look to hurt his opponents. He's going to look to get you out of there. Again, even though I think that he has those lapses in output, I do think because he puts damage on his opponents, it causes them not to throw. which means he dictates the fight. He's the one controlling the octagon. He's the one controlling the center of the ring, so to speak. And I think that could happen here. I also wouldn't put out the idea of him finding a finish on Mario Bautista over the course of 5 rounds. I do worry about Oliveira's cardio because guess what? I favor Bautista with the guy that has the longer UFC minutes, the guy that's been in there at longer points in times. And I believe that Mario Bautista could outlast. But even if he lasts through 5 rounds, what kind of damage will he take on through the course of 3 rounds? And will that damage be enough to get him out of there? Will that damage be enough to overcome winning the final 2 rounds or the final round if he were to win it very dominantly? And I don't know if that answer is yes. That all being said, I land with Vinicius Oliveira to win this fight against Mario Bautista. I think he is going to hurt Mario Bautista, and I think he can find the finish on Mario Bautista. And if he does find the finish on Mario Bautista, it's plus 260. But let me just tell you this: the smart side, 100%, veteran, savviness, experience would be the Mario Bautista side. Me, I tend to go with the guy that's on the upward trajectory. I tend to go with the guy that I think has the capabilities to finish his opponent. Give me Vinicius Oliveira to beat Mario Bautista, and give me to get another victory in our head-to-head series against Evan.
All right.
Listen, let us know in the comment section what you guys think. What fights you're most exciting for? Again, we are live every single Friday at noon Eastern time as we break down all the fights. We give you our analysis behind it. If you want, subscribe to the Patreon. The link is down below. That is where we'll be giving all of our prop bets, all of our favorite bets for this card. You'll also get my full breakdown of this entire card inside of the Patreon. Again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for being dedicated. We appreciate you guys for waking up and, talking sports with us. Remember, there's only one way you should be waking up, talking sports, enjoying the conversation, listening to our fight analysis, and that is the right way. Me and Evan will see you guys next Friday for another edition of the Fight Report with Malik Wright and Evan Theoharis on the Sit Down Malik Wright's YouTube channel.
This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now because